And welcome everybody back to Cities Skylines with Splatt. Hey, move in closer. I've got a little bit of a secret to tell you. I got a little surprise. Did you know that the airport DLC has finally dropped? What? You knew that? Oh, well, fine. Well, I'm excited that the airport DLC has dropped. In fact, I am thrilled that this update is finally out. I'm in a different time zone than most people who use Steam, so I was sitting there just refreshing it, waiting for this thing to drop so I could finally get it. And sure enough, it dropped. I got it installed, and I was all good to go, and I was super excited to start making videos for you guys using the new downloadable content. However, when I went to run the game, you might say it was kind of a womp 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 moment because I run a modded city here in the City of Odyssey, and the mods hadn't quite been updated yet, and I couldn't get things to work. It kept crashing over and over and over again. I couldn't even get the game to start, but I persevered. I went through all of my mods, all 80 things that I'm using, and I figured out which ones I don't actually need all that much to get things going and to record videos, and I also waited while other ones got updated by the amazing mod. And lo and behold, I have finally got the city up and running, and we are ready to go. It is time to start building an airport, baby. I can hardly wait. So here we are with a bird's eye view of the City of Odyssey. This is very important because we have to get used to seeing this view because we're going to be building an airport, and we're going to be seeing the city from this perspective a little more often as people come in and out through our amazing airport that we're going to build. Now, you might notice one thing about my city. It is not incredibly huge. There are some cities from content creators that are in the hundreds of thousands of population, and we are about 40,000. One thing that I've noticed playing around with the airport DLC is that airports are kind of expensive and they have a lot of upkeep. We don't have a lot of, loose change just laying around due to the low population of our city and the fact that we still need to do a lot of development to get our industry up and running. But what we can do is put in an airport that actually fits the needs of our city that has room to grow. And so I was trying to think, what kind of an airport could we build? Well, I've already got the location figured out. If you look up here in the top left of your screen, there is this big area here that is huge and suspiciously flat, has no trees, no roads or anything. Well, that's because good old Splatt came in here and he has already done a little bit of prep work. And this area right here is where our beautiful airport is going to be. But what kind of airport, you may be asking? Are you going to build Heathrow? Are we going to do something like O'Hare or one of the, JFK? One of these really big airports that are amazing and beautiful? Well, no, is the answer. We're not going to do that because our city is not the size of New York or London. In fact, we're more like a up-and-coming Midwestern city that's not so small that it's considered kind of a backwater town, but it's definitely not going to be Chicago or anything like that. And so I was thinking, what cities meet this kind of requirement? Well, there's a city near where I grew up. I grew up in the central part of the United States in the great state of Kansas, known for being a great place to live because everywhere else you go is a vacation. When you live in Kansas, everything else is interesting. And I grew up near the town of Wichita. Now, Wichita is not a thriving metropolis by any means, but it is not a podunk backwater town either. They've got, all the things that you're going to need. They've got some sports going on in there. They have a Krispy Kreme. They even have Starbucks and a movie theater. They are all set. It's a city of about 300,000 people. And I thought that the international airport that they have right outside of the city would be perfect for us. About the right size and right about the amount of traffic that we're going to be getting. So imagine with me, if you will, that in this section of the map here on the top left of your screen, we are going to build the following thing. Bing! This is the airport near Wichita, Kansas. Now, some of you who live in Wichita, Kansas, or who have been to Wichita, Kansas, or have flown through Wichita, Kansas, might know that it is currently called Eisenhower International Airport. It is named after the American president, Dwight Eisenhower, or his lesser-known brother, Fred Eisenhower. I made that up. Either way, it's named after a president. It used to be called ICT, or something like that, I think, or it's still called ICT, but it used to be called Mid-Continent International Airport, and that name sucked, so they changed it. But anyway, if you look here, it's basically got two main runways that are parallel to each other, with the concourse and the parking and all the amenities in the middle. And I think I want to put an airport together that's kind of similar to that. They have a third runway that intersects the main long one, but unfortunately in Cities Skylines, I don't think there's a way that you can actually crisscross runways yet. I may be wrong, let me know in the comments if I am, but I haven't noticed that that's actually been happening. However, everything else that they've got going on here is very much doable and possible. So if we zoom in on the city, ping, there it is. You can see that they have at the top left of that picture, there is a cargo terminal. At the bottom left is the passengers. And in the middle, the entryway into the concourse makes a loop. And in that loop, there's a parking garage and there's parking lots for long-term parking. And then if you get farther out away, you start to get into restaurants and hotels and things like that. So I would like to build something very, very similar. So here we go. So to do this, we're going to have to zoom in, and we're going to have to take a look at how we want to do this. So the first thing that I want to do is decide what kind of airport we want to build. In the airport DLC, if you go down to your transportation tab and go up here to the airport area and click on it, you will see that there are some different things you can build. I've already been playing with this a little bit, so I have unlocked some of the things that you can unlock. But when you first start off, the only thing that you have are these things here, these airport terminals. And there are three different designs. There is a classic airport terminal or a classic two-story terminal. There is a modern airport terminal. There is a modern two-story terminal. And then there is a ultra-modern airport terminal and an ultra-modern two-story terminal. I think the ultra-modern terminals, while they look nice and are fancy, that's a little highfalutin for what we're going for right now. The classic airport terminal is okay, but we are not stuck in the 1970s, and TWA does not fly into our airline or into our airport because it doesn't exist anymore. So I'm thinking we're going to go for something right smack dab in the middle. It's a nice compromise between the two. And I'm going to build a modern two-story terminal because I want to future-proof our airport just a little bit to make sure that it can grow. I'm a little bit worried that if we don't do that, we're going to regret it later. We're going to have to put another one in, which would not be the end of the world, but that is not what we're going to do. Now, I put in a off-ramp over here by the highway. I did a little bit of pre-work, and you know, my off-ramps aren't beautiful. I know, they're boring, they're normal. Everybody has these fancy ones. They work for me. With a little roundabout, and this roundabout is going to lead over to our airport. So I think I got to figure out where I want to put the runways. I clearly don't want the runways flying into the mountain range because that generally ends poorly for airplanes. Little known fact that airplanes that run into mountains generally do not fly again, and you have to buy another airplane, and it gets really expensive. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to build our runways going this way. And we're going to put the runway on either side of the terminal, just like we saw in that picture. So I don't know where I'm going to put it, but we're just going to start off by going here. That looks like a great spot. Now, if this was the first time I had put this down, you would see that it would unlock a bunch of things. We can now do more stuff. We have extra airport concourse space. We have a control tower that we could put in. And we also have runways, taxiways, and aircraft stands. Before we put the runways in, I'm going to extend our airport concourse just a bit. We're going to bring it out and we're going to construct it to about... Oh, well, would you look at that? I forgot to paint the airport area. See the little warning? Airport area required. We should do that. Silly me, I forgot the most important part. You got to go put a district in. Here we go. Make us bigger, make it bigger. All right, so I'm going to paint all this in. We'll come through here and we'll smooth all this out later, make it look beautiful. But for now, we're going to put some airport stuff in. We're going to pause the game just so we don't have any major issues. We're going to click on this. We're going to go over here. We're going to grab our terminal, like I said we were going to. And we are going to begin adding some in. And I think we're going to build out to that second line. Ding, just like that. We're going to come over here and we're going to build out to that second line. Ding, just like that. And now we have an airport terminal. And we can come in here and we can put these little small aircraft stands connected to the terminals. And this is how people get into the airplanes. We'll put one there. We'll put one there. We're gonna put one next to it right there. And we're gonna put one next to it right there. Because for this to be an accurate airport, your flight always has to be at the farthest point away from the entrance to the airport. Airplanes never land and taxi up to gates that are close to the front gate. They always make you walk at least 2 to 3 kilometers before you get to your flight. And I would not want to ruin that in this game. So there we are. Now it is time for us to put some runways in. Now the runway, to get it where I want it to be, I'm actually gonna build a road first. I'm gonna grab a cheap rule road and I'm going to start here in the middle and I'm gonna pull this out to 1,000. I'm gonna pull this one out to 1,000 as well. And this is just gonna help me like figure out how I wanna space my runway. We're gonna do that. And we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna go grab our runway. And I want my runway to start right here. I'm gonna turn on anarchy because I'm gonna delete this road later. All right, we're gonna do one spot over and we're gonna come out. Now, how long do these runways need to be? Apparently they need to be 3,825 at least. So we're gonna go bigger than that. I'm thinking to start with, let's go 4,500. And that will make a runway. I haven't played enough to understand if the runways need to be longer or not later on, but it's possible that they do. I don't know. We're gonna go back. Now we're gonna go back over to our road and we're going to hook on to this node right here with anarchy on. And we're just gonna come all the way across because I want this other runway to be exactly the same length as that one. And this seems like an easy way for me to do it. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna go straight up. 4,500, yes, okay, and now we can delete these. I kind of feel like I should have made this runway go the other direction, but I did not. It looks strange. Why does this one look different than this one? Is it because of the anarchy stuff that I did? I suppose it could be. Maybe I should do that again because I want those to look nicer. So here, we'll grab this guy, we'll bring him over here like that. We shall delete him, and this gives me an opportunity to actually do the runway the other way around so that, you know, I don't know exactly, I don't fly, but, you know, maybe the wind if the wind is different, the airplanes want to go a different direction, I think, is how flying works. Don't quote me on that. I am not a pilot, but the way I understand it is that airplanes take off into the wind. They land into the wind as well. Yeah, basically, I think it reduces the amount of fuel they need because when you take off into the wind, it helps with lift and requires less thrust and force to get up into the air. Okay, now these things are taxiways, and the way these work is they are one way, and this is how the airplane actually gets from the runway over to where they need to be and vice versa. So we have to build these in such a way that our airplanes don't get bottled up on each other and they don't get stuck. Because they're only one way, it's a little bit of a challenge getting these all sorted out. They want to go in where they take off this way, or they want to go in down here, and they want to get off out here. So I'm going to put some in here, because I think I come out like this, and I go up like this. There we go. So they can leave this way to get on their main. This one is going to have to come off this way down here, can they go across like that, or do they can cross runways, right? Let me look at my picture again. They can cross runways. Can they cross runways? Do they cross runways? Let's see if they cross runways. Yeah, it looks like they can cross runways. Okay. So let's just keep that as it is for now. We can always come down and around if we need to later. And we're gonna go this way this time. And let's just stretch that across in case they want to go to a different runway. And then from the middle, no. I want to get them, trying to future-proof this. That's going to connect to that. This is going to connect this. All right, so he comes off. No, I think I want to funnel them all through the same direction. All right, so they come, okay. Yes, yes. 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 And we don't want to do that. We want to do this. I think. Does that work? They can come off. They can come down. They can go this way, or they can go this way. They can get out of here. And this one is backwards. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay, so we go down. And around. Go back where they want to be. Let's make this. I should have built the runway farther. We'll do that for now. All right, so they can get on here, they can get on here, they can go up to here, and then they can get out and they can take off. They want to go to the other runway. They can go that way. Yes. Yes. And we'll take this across. Beautiful. So we have our airport runways put together. We've got taxiways for the aircraft to get in and out. We've got those 4. We'll put in more later. Now it's time for us to start working on things like parking and amenities and all of that jazz. So what I'm thinking that we're actually going to be doing is in the front here, I want to install a parking lot / parking garage. The parking garage is going to be closer in because that's kind of how airports work, right? You get to pay for the closer parking, and then the long-term parking or the parking lots are going to be farther away. Now I have been checking out some different assets, and I have a medium parking garage. I have a small parking garage. What else do I have asset-wise? Let's look under find it, and we'll go parking garage. We have a standard parking garage, we have a parking garage, and we have a small parking garage. So let's see what the size of these are. This one is about that big, all right. This one's about the same size. This one's a little bit bigger. And that one's about, okay, so they're not actually too bad. I'm thinking the square one, because we could actually put a couple of those side by side, would probably be the way to go. What does that look like? Hey, that's not bad. All right, let's do that. For this to work, we're gonna have to pull roads out. And these are 2-lane bus roads, and I wanna keep that the same. So I'm gonna come over here to bus. Let's grab a 2-lane plus bus one way. This is a 3-lane one-way bus. That's exactly what I meant to say. And we're gonna grab that, and we're going to bring this out like this. And we're gonna pull another one out this way. And then we're gonna turn that around. These are one way, which means we're gonna have to turn it into a regular 2-way street at some point. And I think that this is the place where that's going to happen. So I'm gonna switch this over to a 4-lane 2-way road with bus, no parking because airports don't make any money if they let you park for free. We're going to pull that out there. We're going to connect this up to the highway later. That's going to go there. We're going to have another one that's going to come down from there, and we're going to build that one, let's say 2550. Where was that one that we had? 3-lane, one-way, no parking. We're going to bring it up. Okay, let's just bring this across. Clear this out. Yeah. That. Then we take the 3-lane this way. Turn that around. And that becomes a loop for the one-way in and out of the terminal. They come here, they can continue down to the parking, or they can go on this way. And these guys all have to turn right. And then for this up here, we're going to just bring this out. Not too terribly far, actually. 800 will do. We'll drop one this way. Turn that around. Go back to our tool here. I'm going to actually curve it this time. Bring it around like that. But the idea being that this is going to connect back into our roadway over here. So bring it down, push home, bring it out to 1275. I forgot to use that. And then we just got to do the same thing over here. All right, so if people need to get up onto the ramp, they can do so. You know, I'm gonna wish that this was a little more flowing and curvy, I think. So let's just do it that way. So that is going to get people up there. So now we can just start putting in other roads to get people to park. So let me put in some roads and things to work out the parking for this area, and we will be right back. Okay, so we have some parking put in. I went ahead and put in 2 large lots that will be used as long-term parking. There's also some handicap parking and things. We're going to throw in a few pathways here and there. And then I've also got this parking garage right across the street from the terminal. And all I need to do is throw in some paths, and we're going to do a little bit of landscaping and decorating, and then we'll move on to the next thing, which is getting hotels and commercial and restaurants and stuff put in. And I've got some fun ideas for that. So let me get my paths put in, do a little bit of landscaping, and then we will move on. right, so I went ahead and did a little bit of landscaping, not a whole lot. I wanted to give the new trees a go, by the way, that we have in this round. The expansion, or the DLC for the airports came with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 new trees. I went ahead and used this eastern cottonwood as a tree to kind of fill in around the area. Looks kind of neat. And then over here, I went ahead and used one of these. I believe it is called a horse chestnut, and put that in here. So those are 2 new trees that came with this DLC. I went ahead and used a tile that I have from decorations, and I filled this in with kind of a marbling effect. It's really hard to get those straight. I did my best. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time lining it up because I think it looks fantastic. Put some fountains in there, some trash cans, some light posts, and then over here we just put some hedgerows in with some flowers and things just to kind of fill it in and make it look a little bit nicer. And then of course it's an airport, so we went ahead and put a fence around areas where people should not be going. I think this is looking really, really swish, and we're about ready to kick the airport off, but we did forget to install something. I got in so much of a hurry, I forgot that we have a modern control tower, and we forgot to put one of those in. And I think our modern control tower should go right smack dab here, bam, in the middle of the airport. And I think that is looking great. It's not an enormous airport, it's not huge, but it's perfect for what we need right now, and there is plenty of space for us to expand in the future. I mean, we could bring roads off up here and put more runways and more areas over there with more of the terminals and whatnot. And yeah, I think this is going to work really, really well. So I'm excited to turn this thing on and see what actually begins happening, to see if we, look at that, look at that, look at that. We got our first aircraft. We have an aircraft from the generic pink airline. And away he goes. Goodbye, sweet airplane. I shall miss you. I also put in the Arch unique building just because I thought it was kind of like a, hey, welcome to Odyssey kind of thing as people are leaving. Already got some people parking as far away as they possibly could from the airport. So I think our airport is going to be needing a name. And seeing as right now it's called Mulberry Metropolitan Airport, which is not all that interesting, I think we should stick with the Greek mythology type names that we've had so far. We've been naming things after things from the Iliad and the Odyssey and just Greek mythology. So I thought if I can remember how to spell this right, we should call our airport Stymphalian Fields, after the man-eating birds of Greek mythology who have the bronze, sharp metallic claws and feathers that they could actually shoot at their victims. I think they were the pets of one of the gods, the god of hunt, maybe? I think it was Artemis, perhaps? And I just think that is going to be a wonderful name for our airport. And you guys, I'm sure, will tell me if I spelled that wrong, but I think... Nope, I did not spell it right. Now that I'm looking at it again, There we go. That looks better. And I'm sure you guys will tell me if I spelled that wrong or if I spelled that right. Okay, so we have our airport put in. We've got the parking all set up. We've got it all decorated. And we're going to leave this here in case we have to expand the parking later. But what I thought we would do is over here by the airport is to put in just a little itty bitty area for, you know, people who work at the airport are going to need some places to eat. They're going to need some places to go. And so I think I want to extend this out just a hair. I'm going to bring this over like this, and we're going to add just a little tiny commercial zone in here. And I have some particular assets that I want to drop in just to kind of make the place look a little more interesting. Okay, so we've got a few things that we can drop in here. So if you're going to be working near a airport, there's going to have to be some fast food that gets put in. First, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to zone this area in with some light commercial and a few extra little one-way roads. One thing I completely forgot about was all of the services. You can't have an airport without medical services and all that stuff, so we need to drop some of those in as well. And those, I think, should all be kind of back off here in the distance. These are not things that you would want necessarily out and about. You want these things off the beaten path, so. There we go, got some of that stuff going on. Well, all right, I think we are off to a pretty good start with our airport. We've got our runways put in, we've got our taxiways put in, we've got all of our terminals set up, we've got parking, we've got services, we've got a little commercial district over here for people to use. I think this is a great start. Now, one thing I do know about the airports is it does seem like it takes them a while to level up. So we're going to have to just wait for this to continue to grow so that we can add more things to it. And the next time we come back to the airport, we're going to be adding more to it to make it look more impressive, so that it can grow. But we have other things we need to do in this city as well.